You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's ride!
Hey everybody, it's a new week! Woo! Hey, it's good to have you back. It's good to be back. It's good to see you. It's good to be seen. It is October 20th, 2025, and I'm sitting here in the cockpit in Studio A. Studio A, the ever-changing Studio A. There's more plans. There's more plans coming your way I gotta tell you all about. But it's great to hear you. I can hear you in my head right now. Is that you? Hey, it's Frank. So what did you do this weekend? Well, I don't know. I heard that everybody was terrified. It was a terrifying weekend for a lot of people, especially if you fancied yourself more conservative than Karl Marx. If you were just a little bit more conservative than Karl Marx, apparently this was a terrifying weekend for you. You have not recovered. You haven't recovered. Too much to think about. Because people were protesting. People got out there. Me, I didn't see a damn thing. You know, if I logged into Twitter, I saw all the same characters doing their thing, doing their shtick, using the same words, using the same intonations, whatever the hell it is. There's just so much going on, but not in your backyard. I mean, unless you lived in the middle of Manhattan. I was in Massachusetts. I went to my first college football game ever. Went to my nephew's football game in Massachusetts at his college, and I actually saw a little bit of history. I saw some NCAA history made. I'll tell you about that tomorrow night, though. We don't have that much time. Rich Baris is going to be showing up. But, you know, as I was sitting there in the middle of, I don't know how far off we were, maybe it could have been like 10, 15 miles away from Boston or something. I'm in this cozy little college campus that is just carved out of a thick wilderness. Just trees, everything is just alive, orange, red, yellows, just on fire. It was beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So there's no terror around me. I'm sure there was no terror in your gardens and your local parks and stuff like that. But for some people, the terror was in their heads, and they were projecting that terror onto people, and they were Then after projecting the terror, they were rebelling against the terror. They're really sick fucks. We got to talk all about them. Welcome back, everybody. It's a fresh week, a long one. I'm taking you right through to Saturday night this week. So much planned for you, and what better way to start it all off than with Rich Baris. So we're going to be talking about a weekend of beautiful weather and ridiculous protests, and the protests begging to be taken seriously even today. But where are you guys and gals from? Scroll that in the chat room, whichever one it is. It could be YouTube, it could be Rumble, it could be Pill.net right there on QuiteFrankly.tv. It could be Twitter, X, DLive, Kick. Tumblr's back with us. I'm so happy that Tumblr's back with us. It's great to have you all out there. Let everybody know where you're from, what state, what country. Let everybody see what kind of reach we have this evening. And Rich is going to be with us in just a little bit, but I need all the time in the world to set this one up. There's just so much happening, and really what it comes down to. And one last thing before I get down to the cracking this one open. So we have a giveaway tonight. Tony Arterburn has sent over a round of silver. Okay? It's an ounce of silver. Last time I gave it away, it was only $32 an ounce, and now it's $50. So we got an ounce of silver that's brought to you by Tony Arterburn of Quite Frankly Gold. And so you drop in a super chat on YouTube, on Rumble, on Pilled, on where else? Quite frankly, superchat.com, wherever it is. It'd be great if it was $5 or more. It'd be awesome. We're talking about a very valuable thing here, and also we're trying to raise some money for some contract work that has to be done in here now. And I'll tell you all about that a little bit later on if I have any time. But also, Tony just want to let you know that with every new order on Quite Frankly Gold, it doesn't matter if you don't win the raffle, the super chat raffle tonight. On every new order at Quite Frankly Gold, whether it's a one-time buy or if you subscribe to a monthly Wolfpack membership over there, he's giving away some form of free silver when you use promo code Frankly. So Quite Frankly Gold, or go right to Wise Wolf, whatever it is, use promo code Frankly, and it could be a one-time buy or you can get into the Wolfpack and you're getting free. I don't know how much he's giving away, but he said, I'm giving free silver away. That's to everybody. So there you have it. So my mother asked me last night, as we're just kind of, everybody's just, it's me and Anthony and Lauren and Aurora and Anthony's girlfriend, my mom, a little bit of a smaller group yesterday, but we made do. We had a fun time. My mother's getting her shoulder replaced tomorrow. She's really nervous. Please keep her in your prayers. You know, this time tomorrow night, it's going to be all over. And, you know, she's very nervous, but I know she's in good hands, and that happens tomorrow. She hasn't been able to use her arm. She's like a fucking pirate. Okay. So I know that she knows this is the right thing to do. She's walking around like a fucking pirate. She hasn't been able to move her left arm forever. So the whole thing's getting replaced. Just keep her in your prayers. Mimi, Marianne. Okay. If you need a name, some people do. But anyway, that's what's going on. But we're sitting around. She goes, you know, Frank, I don't even know what's going on, but what did Trump say now? Did he say that he's a king, or did he make a comment that he's a king? What does all this mean? No kings. What did he say? I said, what do you want me to say? I said, what do you want me to say? He didn't say anything. We're dealing with absolute nutcases. They build things up in their heads. They project it onto other people, and then they fight that thing that they made, and they're nuts, and you can't talk to them. They're programs. They're not even people. They're just programs. Very limited in their parameters. Very limited. And that's really the basis of so much there. You know, a year ago, we were getting gassed up about how much magic was propelling Kamala Harris towards some kind of eventual win. You know, we were talking about campaign. We were talking about words and phrases and slogans that were picked up by people out there. Oh, how many times have you seen this? Something is happening. Something is happening at every hip hop concert that they put on for Kamala Harris, where the DNC went into crazy debt trying to hire every hip hop artist they could, and then showing the lines out of the arenas that they were renting out and saying that it was because everybody loved Kamala. They were going for a free show. Something is happening. They paid everybody to tweet. And then, of course, the November election happened. And not only did Democrats lose badly, they still have not explained how so many millions of votes disappeared since 2020. You know, aside from vague accusations of Elon Musk deleting them all, of course. Now we're getting gassed up about the size and scope of the crybaby No Kings protest, which because of last election mean less than ever before. It means nothing. It means nothing. And what is it in response? We don't have kings here. Yeah, okay. These are from the people that every other day of the week are just like they jack off to the British royals. They're just so pop culture sexy. Love all that stuff. They hate the republic. They refuse to call the United States a republic. They hate everything about its founding. They distance itself from every custom, tradition. I just don't even get it. I don't even get it. And then they give us over to this mobocracy, this low IQ mobocracy kind of a culture over here. And that is, of course, just one very short step away from a monarchy. I'd say a monarchy is less dangerous than pure democracy without any kind of checks and balances for, smaller populations to protect themselves against the whims of retarded larger populations. But I digress. I'll be doing a lot of digressing tonight. So this was more of a seizure than a protest. My question was, who was it meant to impress? I mean, this is last year. This is less than a year ago, ladies and gentlemen. Less than a year ago. No kings. Well, you can't do this. And this wasn't even the final vote tally. And remember, the only reason why that Trump only maintained like a 2 million vote lead over Kamala after everything was said and done is because places like California, just like they were counting their votes up to inauguration day, just trying to, I don't know what the hell. It was just so stupid. The whole thing was so stupid. But this is where we are tonight. And I think I just want to take a little time to laugh as much as I can, because I've really adopted the clown pill on this. You have to adopt the clown pill on this one. Now, the last time that these people got to test, if you're part of this group, obviously you have no self-awareness, because if you got the last time you got to test your political viability in a public square during an election, and what I just showed you, the electoral map, is what happened to you, and it hasn't even been a year, and you've avoided answering any kind of real questions about why your loss was so unthinkable compared to the numbers that you produced 4 years prior to that, even if it wasn't ballot stuffing and a whole bunch of other nefarious shit, it's either that or you completely lost favor with the American voter. So much to get blown out of the water like that. And then less than a year later, you're going to organize nationwide protests. Just, oh my gosh. Anyway, but people, it was very important. Very important. Now, it would be like me and a few full-grown man friends of mine having a kickball match against Aurora and some of her baby cousins and maybe some of her classmates and all that stuff. So it'd be me and a couple of friends against Aurora and some fellow 5 and 6 year olds. And they're telling us beforehand, you're going to win. We're going to win. We're going to win. You're going to lose. And all that stuff. Then we destroy them. We have no mercy. We destroy them. And then they protest afterwards. And they beat their chest and say, wow, look at all of us kids show up. Look, we really showed them. I remember Aurora telling me, I think it was like last year, telling Lauren telling me that like at bedtime, she didn't want to go to sleep. And that she told Lauren that she was going to break free and that she was going to set all the childs free from bedtime. So it's no kings. No kings is a pre-K bedtime revolt. That's what it is. Now, I'm securely in clown pill territory these last few weeks, especially with this. You have to, because none of what you're seeing is serious right now. None of the people that you're listening to and watching are serious, nor do they possess any sort of transmutable virtue. There's nothing but venom and incoherent drivel. Nothing but it. So therefore, I want the president to drop payloads of cartoon shit onto Harry Sisson's face. I want the president to tweet that out. Cartoon shit being dropped onto protesters. I think it's 100% appropriate because it is the same exact level of seriousness as the protest itself. I'm fine with it. I don't care about decorum. I just want to have a food fight right now. That's all. Now, I'm sick of these people being so comfortable smearing feces on their own faces in public and having the luxury of there being enough media resources available to them to go out there and describe the feces smearing as anything other than an incoherent embarrassment. It's incoherent. It's just shocking how stupid people are, you know? Because I'm not even on the other side of that, where I'm showing up at a rally, I know every rally near me, and I'm not even on the other side of it. I just don't understand the behavior. I get it. You win an election, you feel kind of secure in that a little bit, but the one side is just out of their fucking minds. And it's getting so crazy because if they're just goofy, it's one thing, but they're, they live among us. They live among us. And that's concerning. What if something just a run of the mill emergency happens? You really can't trust anybody's judgment anymore. I mean, there are people in your life that you've been able to vet very, very carefully over the last couple of years, and you know where the limits of that trust really can go. But it's just nuts. It really is nuts. I don't know. I mean, I have so many things to watch with you. So many things to watch. Let me see here. Hold on a second. Let me just make sure that Rich knows the time. Ready when you are. That never hurts. Let me see what else I have over here. For example, hold on, because I want to talk to Rich about the New York election and a few other things there too. But there's so many things. Like, take a look at this. Here's John Cusack. Anybody remember John Cusack? John Cusack doesn't remember John Cusack. But this is where we are right now. So take a listen to this and hold on, Rich just showed up. We'll save our bullets for later. We have far bigger artillery to fire off right now, and that's where we're going to start. Instead of doing John Cusack, we're going to go to my good friend Rich. Who the hell needs to do that anyway? So the last time that we spoke to Rich, it was a really wonderful night. We were not talking about any of the politics. We were getting into the bigger pictures in life. But tonight, we got the director of big data polls here, pioneering polling firm that leverages advanced data analytics and journalism to deliver accurate insights into public opinion on politics, elections, policy issues, etc. As the founder and editor of People's Pundit Daily, he hosts shows like Inside the Numbers to demystify polling data and challenge mainstream narratives with evidence-based analysis. It's Rich Baris. How are you, Rich?
Did you get that from Grok or something? Because that was awesome.
Nope, I'm just a great writer.
Wow. Can I get that? Yeah. So when all these people ask me for my little bios, I don't like pushing myself. So I don't like, get the old pat on the back. So I don't like writing stuff like that. And they're always like, hey, we need a bio. And that was better than anything I've ever written, hands down.
Good. I was going to add in a plug for, every time you used to come on when we had you, and we have to start getting down to like the third Monday of every month again, just to do checkups. But I loved when we were calling it root cause analysis with Rich Baris. First of all, I didn't have to think about a title every time. That was great.
Right.
But anyway, it's great to have you back on. And I don't know. What do you think about the No Kings weekend? That's fun.
Listen, it's funny to poll during a weekend like that because you hear some of the most asinine, but you have to listen to it, the most asinine stuff out there. But look, ultimately, look at the money this thing pulled in. This is obviously well organized. It's a massive scam. I hope everybody understands that. And if I hear this 7 million bogus figure again, I'm gonna crap. All right. And you know what I kept thinking about when I kept hearing Democrats say this, Frank, because you and I talked about it. Do you remember Tommy's rally in UK after Charlie was assassinated? And everybody in the media was like, that's not 1 million people. That's 150,000 people. It's funny how we have different counting standards depending on whether or not we're talking about the left or right. Obviously, UK was a massive crowd. Obviously, there were large crowds for No Kings. But to claim that there was 1 million people show up when you have no idea that's true, which is a much harder number to even estimate, Frank, right? To claim that while calling Tommy's rally 150K, when all of London is filled, it's just ridiculous. It's Everything just borders, everything either borders on or just completely steps over the border of absurd these days, Frank. It's ridiculous.
Can I ask you a question? I'm just thinking, energetically here. There's always a give and a take. There's very, very little attention that people pay to where our attention goes and how human consciousness really can manifest things and what you give yourself over to just by the words that you choose. And honestly, I thought that one of the most amusing and hilarious things from this weekend was that all liberals over the weekend involved in this spent at least 72 hours equating Donald Trump to a king all weekend. And first they had to project kingship onto him so that then they could then pretend to be rebelling against his authority. It's really actually incredible. And this is why they continue, in my opinion, this is in very occult terms. I believe this is why they continue to fail, because they actually materialize. They end up materializing some version of their fears, but it always materializes in ways that doesn't end up with them looking like the good guys.
Well, I think they're still living in a pre-2020 mindset where they can get away with this. And they don't, it's not maybe, I do know that many of them actually convince themselves of these things. And the reason why I know is because they develop these irrational fears based on these like fictions they create. And one of them, which I messaged you as a joke, over the weekend, but it is true. We have, people on social media and people who are conducting polls, making these claims that they don't know if they want their kids at these rallies because Donald Trump's going to shoot them. Listen, I'm not laughing because, it's funny. I'm laughing because it's remarkable how much of this thing you had to create. Right. And it's not just one person who's creating it. They're bouncing, it's human consciousness, and they're bouncing it off each other and creating these myths. And it's not the first time we've seen it. They managed to convince how many millions of Americans of the Russian collusion hoax, right? Russian collusion hoax. They're very good at doing this, right? They managed to convince millions of people that Michael Brown said, hands up, don't shoot. But the reason I'm bringing this up is because there is something serious that arises from their ability to do this that we really need to start paying attention to. And I'm learning that doing the study we're doing is that, again, these stories that they tell themselves creates these fears, and these fears or perceived threats to their personhood is what can lead to these acts of violence that they keep carrying out.
Yep.
So this is a very serious thing. It is. I don't mean to laugh at. I'm laughing at their ability to do it, but it's serious what it means for us as a civil society. Because if one side just keeps creating these mass delusions, right? Without Donald Trump didn't order anyone in the military to go out and shoot anybody. What are you talking about, right? They just come up with this stuff, and then people unfortunately buy into it, believe it, and it will lead to somebody getting hurt probably in the future. And that person who's perpetrating the act will actually think that they're defending themselves in some weird way, shape, or form. Look, the essential theme here to what we're learning, Frank, is that people on the left think that people on the right are going to do them harm. And that's why they think that violence against them is okay. It's some weird, for a bunch of people who don't believe in the Second Amendment or self-defense, it's this crazy justification, almost a self-defense justification that they're cooking up in their minds. And we're not talking about one John Nash kind of person going off the rails here, folks. They're doing this on a mass scale to each other and with each other. And I don't know the answer, Frank. I wish I did, but I don't know the answer. I assume it's got to start somewhere with the media, because they're just a major conduit for transferring these crazy ideas.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's usually what happens when I watch the man on the street interviews that pop up along the way. Sometimes it's just head shaking because they're allergic to two questions: how and why. Whenever
of course.
Whenever
Right.
they'll make a statement And you say, okay, how or why? And then of course it all falls apart, and they accuse you of baiting them. Then they walk away, and that's getting off easy because, like you said there too, you're two wrong questions, inquiries away from getting your glasses stolen, tripped, punched, just mobbed.
Worse.
I mean, it's crazy. And then of course that's when the jackals really come out and they start celebrating what they're seeing on the television, and it's nuts. But anyway, yeah, I don't really see too much more coming out. I'm going to be making fun of a lot of this on the other end of the break, but that's really all I wanted to ask you. I didn't know how the hell it couldn't. The numbers are nuts. Doesn't make sense to me at all.
Give me a break. And the closest, honestly, the irony of it all, back to like planet Earth and reality, the reality is that Donald Trump, as popular as he is with obviously certain Americans, which I still do believe is more than not, he is in control of less of this government than most modern day presidents have been, because you have the entire executive branch that rebels against him, and his administration is always a struggle to be able to gain hold of the government, to be able to represent it the way the people chose him to represent it. I mean, that's the entire story of Donald Trump. This idea he'd be a king is crazy. The closest thing to a king that we've had in our lifetime is Barack Obama.
Oh yeah, and did you?
That's the irony of it all. Give me a break. Of course it is.
Hey, listen.
Of course it is.
And while Donald Trump is getting shit, all these people are getting so sanctimonious about the East Wing of the White House being remodeled right now, and
it's falling apart.
Yeah,
it was falling apart.
They're all screaming. He's tearing it down for his own image and all that.
It's rotting. It's rotting away, people. Everybody knows this. It's just that Joe Biden was too busy stuffing the money for it in his own pocket and in his son's pocket. All right. Donald Trump, who doesn't even take a paycheck to be president of the United States, unlike anybody else that, anyone else could cite. Donald Trump's the only one who didn't do that. He's choosing to remodel it and make some. Honestly, Frank, I mean, eventually it had to be done because the thing is derelict. Some parts of the White House have been derelict at this point. Wouldn't you want a builder to do it?
Yeah,
gotta do it.
Absolutely. And then, of course, this is all happening at the same time that Barack Obama tweets this monstrosity out. Did you see this?
I didn't. Oh my God. I've heard about it, but I haven't laid my eyes on it until just now.
The Obama Presidential Center opens next year. It looks like a mausoleum.
Narcissist.
Oh, dude.
Oh my God.
You want to talk about some of the worst Soviet, Russia, some of the worst brutalism. I mean, you want to talk about brutalism. It looks like a tumor in the middle of Chicago. Look at that. I'm trying to get a good. What the hell is it, man? It's just a strange monolith in the middle of nowhere.
Know what it is. Bow down to King Nebuchadnezzar. Dude. Come on, bow your heads.
Look at that shit.
Bow your heads.
Trump should make that. He should make that the new East Wing and say, checkmate, everybody. What are you going to say? That this is ugly?
I would shave Roosevelt right off the damn side of that mountain and put myself there if I was Donald Trump, just to give them a friggin' canary, Frank.
I'm with you. I'm with you. Seriously, that's why I said I love the AI plain cartoon shit memes. I really do, because I just like what it's the same level of seriousness of everything else going on right now. I'm totally fine with it. I don't even care anymore. So let me ask you about some local stuff, and then I want to ask you about the government shutdown. As far as New York and New Jersey goes, I've been hearing a lot of things. What's going on in New Jersey? Because I heard that over the weekend that this Jack Citarelli was surging ahead in New Jersey, but you just never know. But Jersey's been like teetering on the brink the last couple of cycles. So what's happening in the Northeast?
I don't think he's surging ahead yet, but he definitely surged to close the gap. This is, you want to be on the upswing toward the tail end of a campaign, but we are getting real data now. Look, if the Public Polling Project funds it, we will poll this race. I'll probably wind up just kicking out for the rest of myself. I should probably stop saying that. But if it does, we're going to do it. I'm waiting intentionally because we'll get more data, more real data soon. And I want to be able to compare that with the polling, and that is in-person early vote. And right now, everyone's making a big deal over Republican return rates being higher than Democrats. The truth is, yes, it is they are doing better than they have in the past. But Democrats have been gaining. They gained 8 basis points today in the return update. That's how it goes in New Jersey. That we would expect that. That being said, when Republicans, because all of the polling shows that Jack Ciattarelli's got the enthusiasm edge, and it's actually not even that close. I went and compared some of the polling that I know and trust somebody else did, compared it to some of the prior polling. We have always asked about enthusiasm. He actually has an enthusiasm edge in New Jersey that's on par with what Donald Trump had over Hillary Clinton in 2016. So, I mean, it's that kind of a gap, extremely enthusiastic, 60-40. That's a big deal, and it does move people. So we'll see it. We'll see evidence of it in the in-person early vote, because Republicans behaviorally, they are different than Democrats. They don't like to vote. If they vote early, which they don't like as much, but if they do, they vote more in person early than they will by mail. So while the mail numbers are pretty impressive, I mean, Democrats have more returns and they have a raw vote edge, but that's always the way it goes. No, it's just they have slightly less of an edge than they had in the past. We will really know, Frank, when we start to see the in-person early, and if Republicans are like, doing like 8-10 points on them, then this is a race. And because on election day, Republicans will outvote Democrats. They will. So, we'll see. I'm waiting for the poll because I know what's going to happen. We're going to ask, how do you intend to vote? Did you vote already? And we're going to see some, pretty encouraging numbers for Ciattarelli on the in-person early, and in among those who plan to vote on election day. But I want to be able to compare that to the actual votes that we're seeing come in and it opens in now 4 days. I mean, we can't count today. It's almost over. In-person early will open in 4 days. Give it a couple of days of that, and we'll really know for sure. But everything is pointing to a close race. Cheryl's a terrible candidate. She has a lot of flaws. But again, I brought this up on the show today. Ciattarelli's just not getting the support that he needs when you're fighting uphill in a blue state that you're trying to turn red. So, God bless you, Mr. President, but you don't need to be going down to Florida with Lindsey Graham because he only pulled in $500,000 this quarter. You need to be driving up and down Route 9 and shaking hands at the Regent Diner with Jack Ciattarelli. That's what you need to be doing. And you know the area, Frank. You know what I'm talking about. Yep. That's what needs to happen. That guy drew a huge crowd in Wildwood, New Jersey. He came within 6 points of beating Harris, even though he stopped in that state one time. He could help him, and instead of helping Lady Lindsay fund his next war, he should be helping Jack Ciattarelli. The Governors Association is just not an effective association. Now they'll go and attack me on Twitter because that's what Republicans do. They spend all their day watching my streams so they can attack me for pointing out they don't do their job well, right? Just to make keep it's job security for them, I guess. But they're not an effective association, and there's no real big significant presence for that party in New Jersey. They got a shot in the arm, Frank, after Trump came that close. They got a shot in the arm and they got some attention, right? But this stuff takes organization and it takes time to build up, and it takes sophistication, which they don't have in the data operation. They needed help. And if he comes again within a hair of winning, but falls short, it will be because Republicans again are just not willing to put everything on the line for something. And that's where they've always fallen short when compared to Democrats. Democrats will put it all on the line for Connor Lamb to win a race that Rick Saccone should have won easily, right? They'll put it all on the line for Doug Jones to beat Roy Moore in Alabama, because they see an opportunity, not because they think they can hold it later, but because they see an opportunity to deal damage and get a foothold somewhere. Not Republicans. Always a safe bet for Republicans. It's why they haven't gotten New Jersey yet. It's why they keep falling very short in Minnesota and a handful of races, and they keep chasing their stupid white whales that they're never going to get, and scratching each other's backs. Meanwhile, somebody like Jack is basically the perfect candidate for a Republican governor in New Jersey. I mean, Chris Christie is, aside from Donald Trump, the most well-known Republican figure, national figure in the state. And Chris Christie is their last memory of what it's like to have a Republican governor. That's not good. So it's going to take the most popular Republican figure, which is Donald Trump, to go and help erase that and build a new image of what it means to have a Republican governor in the minds of voters. I mean, this stuff is kind of elementary, man. It really is frustrating that they just can't figure it out. There's just too much, consulting grifting going on, and I get this contract, this one gets that contract. It's sad. It's sad to watch, because if Jack falls shy again, that'll be why. If Jack falls shy, that'll be why. We'll print them up for a freaking campaign button. How about that?
You're
welcome.
Out of all of the races that are happening around the country in November, is this is the Northeast, is New York and New Jersey? I'll talk about New York specifically in a second, but are these the most important, or are there other sleeper ones that you think people need to pay more attention to?
I think they are important, and I would say until the revelations of Jay Jones's messages came out, I would have said hands down they're the most important for a few reasons. One, the Garden State doesn't like to give 3 consecutive terms to the same party. It's a long history of this, going way back. That's how Christine Todd Whitman became the governor, even though she was a Republican in an otherwise blue state. If the Republicans can't get this, Democrats are going to be able to say, see, we still have a significant advantage in the state, and it'll blunt Republicans' efforts to turn that state into a purple state. And that's going to, believe me, I know how Republican donors think, and that's going to cower them away. Then come the next midterm, come the next presidential election, you'll be hard pressed to get them to open up their checkbooks to be able to fund what is necessary to turn New Jersey red, which absolutely is possible with a Trumpian Republican Party. And by the way, I just point out, we did say New Jersey was going to be closer than expected, because it's just demographics, the changes that we saw in 24 with Donald Trump specifically. This is a test for Republicans that, I hate to say it, but, they're just, if past is prologue, they're most likely to fail, because the reason it was close let me put it this way. The reason it was close last time, Frank, is because of low turnout, and because Citarelli won, an independent margin that was pretty sufficient. But if it was a higher turnout, like a presidential turnout, Murphy would have ran away with it by another 6-7 points. If because of the margin that Citarelli won with non-whites, who would then go on to vote for Trump 3 years later. So Trump didn't get it close because he brought out, he brought out a new voter, but he got it close because he won so many non-whites, which is non-whites who vote Democrat, guys. I mean, he won a ton of Democrats, despite what the exit polls may tell you, or people may try to tell you. There's no way to get that close in New Jersey if you don't win without winning a significant number of Democrats. And that was kind of the Republicans' job there. So New Jersey was a test. It is a test to see if Republicans could get a state that is puts the Electoral College on lock. All right. And I know it's a gubernatorial election, but you're prepping the groundwork here for subsequent elections. And it is important. New York is important because Democrats are about to have the worst branding mistake that they could possibly make.
See,
smart.
This is the big question here about Mamdani.
Yeah.
Is I have specific questions about Curtis Sliwa. I've been trying to get his attention for so many years. I'd love to have him in studio, but it's tough. I've been listening to him on what was it, 770?
I know. We've known
880, whatever.
Known him for years. Yeah.
Anyway, it's like, on one hand, I see people like, for example, my buddy at Viral News NYC, who says that sources within mainstream news and polling circles tell me that Curtis Sliwa is performing much better in New York City than most networks are admitting. Some say that the gap is far closer and possibly leaning his way. I don't know what you're seeing, but tell us what you're seeing, and then also let's talk about what is the best thing. What's the best thing that could happen for people who want the insanity to stop? Should they get a couple of years of Mamdani and just destroy? I mean, like you said, I don't know how that could really help the brand for the party at large when that is what they put forward in New York City of all places. But what do you think?
Well, what I think Viral News was referring to there, unless he just wasn't conveying it, maybe they weren't conveying it right to him, is that I have heard and seen now other polling that does suggest that post debate Slee was in second place. That's what everyone's trying to allude to. Nobody wants to say out loud, but it's not going to get Mom. It's not going to beat Mamdani. It's, I mean, it's just, I'm being real here. Mamdani would need somebody. I saw Mike Davis on Twitter before saying, Slee would drop out and endorse Cuomo, save New York City. That just is not going to. First of all, that wouldn't work. Too many of Sliwa's voters would not go to Cuomo because of his COVID policies. It's a non-starter, and that's it. The real answer, let me just say this, the real answer, it's too late now for. The real answer was for Republicans who didn't want to hear it, and Democrats did. There were I don't want to say fair-minded. There were non-Mamdani Democrats who recognized the environment and what was happening, the landscape, and what was likely to happen, that we'd end up in this situation. And for a time there, if they could get Sliwa out and, Trump to get behind Adams, right, then they were willing to at least consider supporting Adams, and that would have beaten Mamdani. All right, so now we're at a point where it's too late. It's just too late. And I hate to look, I'm a native New Yorker. New York is my city. That is where I was, that is where I was born. I was born in Newburgh, technically, but that's where we lived when I was born. I don't want to see this happen as an experiment, or to be able to say 4 years later, see, I told you so. I don't want it to happen. I don't want them to suffer, but the government you elect is the government you deserve. And smart Democrats, out there are some, there are still old school smart Democrats who don't want this, because they do understand this is the biggest gift to Donald Trump. This is the biggest gift to Republicans. Guys, if you're old enough to remember, Republicans won a lot of races against Nancy Pelosi and Bill de Blasio. They didn't even run against their opponents in their districts. They nationalized races and made it all about the communist mayor from New York City, and made it all about the communist, House Speaker from, the Bay Area. So, I mean, that's smart. I mean, because there is no way to get around, for Democrats to get around somebody like Mamdani becoming their standard bearer in the most prominent city in the United States of America. There's no way around it. And he will fail, and he will fail spectacularly. There will be constant adversarial relationships between the New York Police Department. Barnes and I were talking about this earlier today. There's a long history of New York. And the NYPD doesn't roll over for people like this, buddy. They just don't do it. This is going to be a constant problem in the city. It's going to be constant turmoil. Crime is going to go up. It's going to happen. It sucks.
Well, for police in particular, it's life or death. It's not like, hey,
right.
we have difference in taste or anything like that. The types of policies that rabble rousers like this Mamdani are going to come in with will result in police dying. I have to imagine. It will. So,
and the grocery store, the basic Stalinification of grocery stores. He comes in the scene and acts like this is a brand new, fresh idea. They've been pushing this stupid idea for New York City for years. I mean, I remember this when I was like a teenager. Leftists were trying to do this. It's a dumb policy. It's been tried before. Food is going to go through the roof. It's going to be scarce. Prices will go up. It's almost like, Frank, at some point, you have to let people feel the pain of their own bad decisions. And I'm sorry to say that, but Donald Trump, for instance, I look at some of the areas around the country that Donald Trump did better in, where we know there's that textbook suburban white woman that everyone says hates Donald Trump. There were places like this, including the 5 boroughs, by the way, but all over the country where you could see, wasn't much, but 3% here, 5% there, who, after they realized they got, that they were personally hurt by some of these policies, they did in fact go, and come out and vote for Donald Trump. Sometimes you just have to make people feel the pain of their own mistakes, and that's a really terrible thing to say, but New York is a very liberal city, and his coalition will be this crazy coalition that's going to make people laugh, but it's true. Obviously, you're going to have a big Arab vote for him, and then they'll be coupled with the white silk stocking liberals, the gentrified liberals that think that it's merely voting for somebody like Mamdani makes them a better person
Yes.
than you.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like, that's who they are. And they won't feel it until one of their kids gets nabbed on the way home from school. And it sucks, but it's true. Or, a lot of them are privileged. So maybe it's another way. Maybe their kids aren't at risk. Like your kids will be guys, in a city that goes to pot because of somebody like him. Many of them will be hiding behind gates and chauffeurs, and they'll have a privilege that you won't have, but they'll be hurt through the economy. They'll be hurt through the business. I think Mamdani actually risks New York's status as the premier financial center of the world. I do. You already have somebody like a Letitia James who scared the bejesus out of people in her pursuit of Donald Trump. I was talking about this too the other day. These guys really sat around. We know a lot of Wall Street folks, so does he. They really sat around thinking this is never going to happen. This is never going to happen. Like they fundamentally misunderstood where all their money to Democrats have been going all these years. And now, good.
Are you seeing?
You reap what you sow, suckers.
Are you seeing? And this really ties into a lot of the No Kings thing, too. It's because the most frustrating thing about seeing events like you get over the weekend, there's nothing, people are nuts where they're like, oh man, this is breaking MAGA, and they're so terrified. No, we're not terrified. No, we're not. It's more so we're concerned about these reminders of the kind of people that we're living with. Because it's when you see people commit to such crazy behavior, whether it's on the streets in any kind of city or hamlet around the United States over this past weekend, or in New York City as they prepare to put this guy into the mansion, you ask yourself the question: is there any point along the way of making disastrous decisions that you always pay the price for? Is there any point along the way that you say, oh, I understand what I did? Is there any, because it's one thing where you say, okay, well, it's good for people to make mistakes because they're going to get knocked down. They're going to have a moment of clarity, and then they can fine tune themselves. There's never any evidence of self-awareness anywhere. And if that doesn't show up somewhere, I don't know if you're seeing it in any kind of reflective poll, or reflected in any kind of a poll, I should say. If that doesn't show up somewhere, that's a path to suicide. So if you don't fix that, or if you don't at least gain a little bit of, a little bit of perspective, that's suicidal. So is there any metric that you see that's reflective of that mentality of anybody? Obviously, if Mamdani's there, there's a good amount of people who are just going right over the cliff, and they're loving every bit of it. They think that there's going to be a great, pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. But what about the wake up factor? Anything?
Unfortunately, when I say people need to live with their own consequences, and then they'll, maybe come around next time. Unfortunately, that process is much more selfish. Like what it looks like is much more selfish than a process of like honest introspection. People don't like to admit they were wrong. So often they may find blame with just that one particular person instead of their own worldview or their ideas. You know what I mean? And it will, Giuliani is a great example. When Dinkins was a disaster, these people didn't turn into, they didn't conduct introspection into themselves and say, what is wrong with my worldview where I support people and their policies and they don't work and it fails. It leads to disaster. No, it turned into Dinkins was incompetent. And now, I'd rather vote for a Giuliani because at least he's a compassionate Republican and we just got to get the crime situation under control. It wasn't that the policies themselves were wrong. And that's just unfortunately the way out of this thing, guys, is never going to be through like those gentrified white liberals conducting honest introspection into their own worldviews. It's going to end with generational change and shifting among other demographics. You'll see it first in the Bronx, well before you ever see it in parts of Queens. You'll see it in the non-white parts of Queens well before you'll ever see it in upscale, right?
Yeah.
And you're definitely not going to see it in Manhattan. You know, it's going to, we already know how Staten Island is. You know, obviously that's about as much of the white vote that Republicans are going to get in somewhere like New York City. This will come from where we saw Donald Trump's vote come from, where we saw even in several of these like off-cycle elections, you know, we did see Republicans doing much better in like the Asian areas of Queens and the Hispanic, especially Puerto Rican areas in the Bronx. That's where it's going to come from, guys. Their parents still vote Democratic. It's the younger ones, you know, especially 45 and below, that the younger generations that Republicans are making more inroads with. So I hate to say it, this will take time. It is going to take time, but you're not gonna see a major change where like we look at that debate and we listen to Mamdani and we say this guy's crazy. You know, like that's not going to happen in a place like New York for a long time. It's not. And that's just true because look, New York, it wasn't always left wing like this. They had certain left wing groups. There's long histories of Jewish communist groups, stuff like that were very politically active, but they were not fanatically left wing. You know, they were workers' parties. You know, Democrats were the party of workers, and ethnic Italians and Irish voted Democrat, but not because they were socialists, but because they had the interest of their working class base at heart. That took years to undo that. You know, people forget Philadelphia was a Republican urban area. It took years to change that. And how did they do it? They didn't do it by convincing those voters that were already there to change their minds. They did it by generational changes. And unfortunately, that's just that's the only way forward. That was a long answer to one part of that question. And I forgot what the second part was, honestly, but I feel like I had to unpack that because I think a lot of people make the mistake of thinking there's going to be a moment where a large group say, oh my God, I was wrong. Even with Biden, he ran the country into the ground and it was still only 8%.
I think that was the crux of what I had asked. It was just in seeing this, is it one of those things where it's just better off? The first part was how close is Sliwa to actually getting it, and then the second half is what I asked just before that.
I think right.
Either way,
okay. I mean,
we
I
got
think
it.
The question is like, well, did Cuomo's debate performance, and Sliwa did very good. Did Cuomo's debate performance come across so poorly that some of his voters will actually go to Sliwa, and now Sliwa's in second? And that's what the internal polling from not just him, others.
I just don't understand why. I don't understand why Sliwa, especially over the last however many cycles, has just seemed like crazy. Why that is a crazy? I mean, it doesn't even feel like you're talking to a Republican. You know, when you think about normal TV billing of one person that comes from one party or another, he just seems like the most New Yorker guy out there. You would think that he would just have a lot more sway with New Yorkers just because he sounds like the way the things used to be in some kind of a way. They a little bit more of a mentality that way, but it's just, he's always been second billing. And I'd love to have him on the show. I really would. Here's one last subject for you for tonight, and that is about the government shutdown. It is, with everything, honestly, I had to go and check to see if the shutdown was still happening. Because it's not even just about me personally, as everybody knows, let it last forever and let's shut down a lot more than just 20%. But we're on day 20 now. And I know people are out of work, people who work with the federal government, but I feel like just because we have covered so many of these shutdowns now, that most people who don't need a political issue to cling to in order to hate on Trump or hate on their political nemesis or whatever the hell it is, they are completely indifferent this time around. I have not seen anybody talking about the ongoing shutdown everyone is trying to make ends meet right now and to recover from what has been done to us since 2020 still alone. And so me personally, I feel like it's hard to give a shit about 20% of a government shutting down when it's clear that the only people who are affected by this are the employees of the government themselves, like whose work is probably more necessary to aspects of the bureaucracy itself than it is to providing a service that we can actually feel. You know, we don't even feel what is being lost, and we're only being told, "Oh, people are out of work." I said, "Well, you're taking from me to pay them, and when they don't go to work, nothing in my life changes. So why are they there?" And I don't know if you've done any. Have you done any polling on this shutdown in particular? But I feel like the silence is deafening.
The problem Democrats have this time with getting across their normal narrative that, always seems to benefit them is there are a couple of things. One is, and I think it's probably major. This is major. They just don't blame Donald Trump voters. They don't blame Donald Trump and Republicans the way they usually blame them for these shutdowns. Trump has done a better job. Surprise. He's done a better job this time at messaging why the shutdown happened, and certainly better than any times in the past when Republicans, pre-Trump tried to do this and ended up, in a polling political disaster for them, which, by the way, never ended up them losing seats in subsequent elections. They were always just bullied back into opening it. Donald Trump's not being bullied. There is no evidence that government shutdowns hurt Republicans in subsequent elections. There just is zero evidence of that. It's a long-running myth that it is not true. And Trump has made this more about Democrats shutting down the government because they want to give illegals medical care. That's like too many people will tell you that's why the government is really shut down. And Democrats will say, here, trying to take away affordable health care for you and your family. And most Americans will say, bull. They want to fund in backdoor ways illegal, health care for people who should not even be here. And that is something that is stuck. And Schumer, people made fun of Donald Trump, even called him as a racist for having Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer out there with his little
sombrero,
the poncho, sombrero, the sombrero on and the mustache. People are like, yeah, it's such a racist thing. He did that on purpose. That is an easy way to convey to people that they are like just shills of the cartels and illegal immigrant industry, and it is a giant industry, billion-dollar industry, mass trafficking of human beings, it makes tons of money. It enables drug trafficking and other forms of illicit activity, and it's intertwined with that. And then you have a bunch of left-wing, lawyers who work for it, through that entire court process so they can get tons of money and earn boku bucks for making sure that they disappear into the interior only to take some American's job later on down the road. It's just different now. It's just different. And Democrats have not had the dominant messaging win in the shutdown that they are used to having. They're a little bit part of that, I think, is that they've been a little bit incoherent. But the thing that just jumped right out at me is that normally we're looking at like a 55-35 blame Republicans, blame Democrats for the shutdown. Typically, and this time we're not seeing that at all. Actually, several of our questions came back with them actually blaming Democrats more throughout this process. So, I mean, that's crazy. That's unheard of, Frank. That's unheard of. That never happens. And look, you can see it. What's his name? We did an entire segment on this on Inside the Numbers last week. I swear this guy watches Inside the Numbers and then does his little CNN segment after he scrapes everything he sees from the show. But he did a segment on CNN, basically echoing and mimicking what we were telling people. Like, look, not only are Republicans being less blamed than usual, but Donald Trump's approval rating actually is rising during the shutdown. And I'm not saying it's skyrocketing, but it's rising. It's recovered several points, Frank. Again, completely unheard of. This is not what usually transpires during these shutdowns. And I think it just comes down to Trump is a much more effective messenger this time around.
And No, go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I was just going to say, and I don't think that could even be possible if so many Americans aren't living. Again, it's a post 2020 world where there was too many, there were too many Americans. I'm saying a huge amount, but there were too many Americans who realized after the 2020 election and the COVID scam and the 20 rig, and then their lives turned to shit, and they were living a living hell for 4 years during Joe Biden. Trump was able to win because everybody had just wanted Trump back. You know, I mean, truly persuadable people just wanted Trump back. There are too many people living still in that post 2020 mindset, and the media can't, they lost control of them. You know, they lost control of their ability to, I'm going to use the B word, to brainwash them. They've lost control of their ability to brainwash them. And it all ended, Frank, the aha moment. It culminated and ended with Joe Biden being senile and retarded on the debate stage in front of the entire world. And so many people just realized, oh my God, it's all true. It's all true. Everything Republicans have been saying, it's all true. He's freaking senile.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And the messaging and here's the way I take it there too. There's at least an element of this, but you know, when you talk about the sombrero is so important. We cannot diminish the importance of it. You can't. You can't diminish the importance of the sombrero in this respect, because as far back as I've been paying attention to this and been talking about it on any show that I've been doing since 2006,
yeah.
You know, it didn't matter who was the president. It didn't matter where the majorities were. Republicans were always going to take the blame because they didn't know, they always came off as the stuffy people that when you invite them to a dinner party, they bring vegetable lasagna, and they just they you know, they're just always so stuffy and whatever, and they can't message because they're so unhip and out of touch and all that stuff. And so even when they were in the right, and even when they were trying to get a little bit more nuance with why a government was going down, what's constitutional, what spending wanted to be eliminated from a bill or whatever because it was not constitutional. So, you know, every once in a while somebody would make a constitutional argument, but even though I love the Constitution, I know that people's eyes are going to glaze over because that. We're just not on that level. We're not a society with that level of consciousness anymore. So for somebody like Donald Trump to just put the sombrero on their head, it's like that. The memetics, the memes, the meme magic was the only thing that cut through in its simplicity. So you talk about, we need to start being
legit.
Yeah, you know, we got to understand the originalist intent of our country's charter, the Constitution, and all of the debates and everything that went into that construction. But we are so, you know, our IQ is just plummeting, and I think it just goes to show how simple the message has to be. You just put a sombrero on somebody, and it definitely contributed hugely to that win right now.
Yeah, I think that that there's two sides of what you said too, because he effectively does use these memes in a way that cuts through all of the crap that we're bombarded with, you know, on a daily basis. It's just so much, and I think people understate their effectiveness, but on the flip side of that, it does tell you how kind of low we've fallen, right? Where that's all that breaks through. When I was young, and it's funny, I was watching how the lieutenant governor of Virginia is running his campaign, which is this very accessible and retail politic kind of thing, and he's inviting voters and the media to just these events where he's just talking, you know, and it reminded me that how much campaigns have changed in the same way that how much we receive information has changed. And it's so different than what years ago, even when let's go back, and I don't date myself, I just had a birthday, but my first presidential election, where the policy debate, which could be had over a dinner table, by the way, without killing each other. All right. And then like unfriending each other on like, the Facebook that didn't exist back then, or saying, I'm never going to talk to you again. And I'm not coming to Sunday dinner.
I'm not coming to your funeral.
I'm not coming to your funeral anymore. I won't even come and piss on your grave. Right. I mean, this is where we've gotten. And it wasn't like that. And, I'm not even sure we'd understand the concept of a meme with this witty thing that's trying to get its point across. We had thorough discussion. We had thorough discussion about policy. It was nuts. I know us dinosaurs. So it's like, a colored commentary, brother, on how effective Donald Trump is in this era, and he knows the era well, I guess. But also, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a good thing.
No, it's not. Because Rich, in my mind, I have the side by side. All of the, I love the left can't memes where you'll have just you'll have the meme, and then you'll have the left wing meme, which is just a wall of text on top of a picture trying to explain to you how to see it all, and setting the parameters for what the joke is, and whatever, just not letting they don't want to leave anything up for interpretation,
because that's who they are.
I know, but it's the opposite with this now. When I have in my head the text of that brilliant "Give Me Liberty or Give Me Death" speech by Patrick Henry. Yeah. I have the text of that brilliant speech from March of 1775 on the left side of my mind, and on the right side there's Hakeem Jeffries with a sombrero on, and it's the juxtaposition. It's kind of flipped, and if it works, it works. But hopefully, we can get back to reading Patrick Henry again.
And that's funny. That's funny that you said that, because in our household, that literally happens. So here I am glazing through a summary on the rights of man, and there's Laura like, "Oh my God, did you see this?" And it's just so funny that, I guess it's not, because as long as we could, I think it wouldn't be that bad as long as we could still do what like you and I, and I'm sure many people watching, still try to do, which is remember the important stuff, right? And that you're going to forsake the important stuff for these like short little clips of that are meant to gather our attention, or anything in life that's meant to quickly garner our attention, make its point, and move on. There has to still be a place where we understand why it all is what it is, and what it all means, and what was the point of it all. And as long as we didn't lose that, then okay, move on with the new and brave era, right? But it does seem like we can't do both. We can't walk and chew bubblegum, or at least some can't. My son showed me this video, and I can tell it's this guy who's trying to do that in the new way. He makes these very entertaining videos. Most of it's animated, like crazy, stupid, cheesy cartoon kind of things, almost like in the mode of South Park. But he's telling historical stories and giving people as much background as he can, while he still holds their attention. And so my son, he comes up to me and he showed, look, this is the American Revolution video. This is he also has the Soviet, the Russian Revolution. It's a good attempt. I'm just not sure we can. I'm just not sure we can have one without the other, Frank.
I'm with you.
You really need both.
I'm with you. Well,
I applaud his attempt. I just don't think it's good enough. I'm sure if you asked him, he would say, "Well, I want them to read more about it. I'm just trying to get their interest." I imagine that's what he would say.
Yeah, I guess it'd be in the breadcrumb approach, and
the breadcrumb approach.
We'll see. However, whatever creates momentum, I think that. I don't know. I don't think all hope is as lost as we thought with the younger generation. So that has brought me a lot of good feelings on the inside. But my friend, this has been a wonderful night, and I never want to take too much of your time. We did 3 great topics. That's what I was shooting for. And let everybody know, of course, I have your locals in the description of the episode. I hope everybody watches your shows. But for those who have never seen you before, when do you stream, and where can they see you?
Yeah, I mean, the best place to follow is on Locals, which you got up on the screen. But we stream Monday, Wednesday, and Friday regularly. And then I've been doing a bunch of these in-between things here and there. But 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, But for Thursday and Friday, it's when I'm gonna pop up. I've been doing these more like personal kind of videos, which are cool. And then we're everywhere, on Twitter or X at peoples_pundit, on Getter at peoples pundit. But definitely, where I spend most of the time is on locals, and then I would say X. So I mean, those are the best places. And check out the Public Polling Project.
Public Polling Project. All right, well,
You'll find the links there.
I hope to have you on before Thanksgiving, Rich.
Oh, absolutely, Frank. It went quick tonight.
It does. Always does. Have a good one. Thank you so much.
You too, my friend. Take it easy.
Take care. All right, everybody. There goes Rich Baris. And now it's just you and I. I'm not going to go on a break. I'm just going to talk. I'm going to take your call because I have so many things to watch over here. I have so much media to do. First thing I want to do is say we have 2 weeks now until we announced the subscription winners for both Keto Brainz and for mindthymitochondria.com. The peptides. My brother just got his first bottle, and my mother got her bottle today too. I'm hoping that can help her out with the healing. Kind of just a little bit of healing support for that shoulder. That Wolverine. Maybe we could turn her into a Wolverine. We'll see what happens. Anyway, 2 weeks, maybe on Halloween night. I'm thinking about going live on Halloween night. On Halloween, I'm thinking about going live. But just like for a limited engagement from my father's Halloween party. And then maybe around 8:00 or so is when the premiere of what I'm going to film live this Saturday night, 9:00. Go to pilled.net or quitefrankly.tv where Pilled is embedded. And you can watch the Saturday night spooky Saturday hookah special with me and Sherry and Dave. We're going to do some more scary movie rips and so many other things. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then I'll premiere that on Halloween night on Rumble and YouTube and X and all that stuff. So, but I'm thinking that might go live at 8. And perhaps before that, I can do like an hour from my father's Halloween party and just BS with you guys a little bit and just be in the in the atmosphere a little. And when I'm there, maybe I will be able to announce who wins a 1-year subscription to either Keto Brainz. That's like $600 worth of the greatest nootropic creamer you can ever use for your coffee or whatever culinary delights you're creating. I love this. Been using it for a couple of years now. I'm so grateful for Molly being a partner of the show because it's not every day you get to be repped by something you love so much and you use so often. If you want a sample of this, email me, Frank at quitefrankly.tv. You're going to love it. And then, but anybody that buys anything on ketobrainz.com or mindthymitochondria.com, both of those links are in the description below. And if you use promo code TREAT on any purchase over $39 on either website, you're in the running. And I think... I'm pretty sure that the more you buy, the more your name gets added. I think it's not like just one and done. So make an extra purchase by the end of next weekend, and who knows? That's a lot of great stuff they're giving away. So promo code TREAT, or use any of your, quite frankly, recurring stuff. And she just created a wonderful code for the holidays. Can't wait to tell you about that in November. All right, that's all I got over here. Let's see. Okay, into the super chats we go. And remember, we're giving away a round of silver. So you send a super chat wherever the hell you are, and your name is going to be in the running. Let's see. Rev says, prayers for a speedy recovery for Marianne, mom of Val, Mimi. Get Jay to hook her up. She should be on about 8 different peptides post-surgery to speed along the healing. Mel Gibson voice, give me back my silver. Well, let me see that. Put you in there. Revolution. You are in namepicker.net now. Nosepicker.net. Let's see. Irrational X says, hi ho, Silver. Away. Keep your mother in our prayers. Keeping your mother in our prayers. Thank you. And she's thanking you too. ST says, prayers lifted for Mimi. You got this. Yes. Road Trip says, we was Kangs, but now the left excludes us. Yeah, I know. It was just a lot. It was just a lot of early bird special crowds, if you know what I mean. white liberals in rascal scooters. No, I saw young people there. Right. I know. I get it. But we're just saying there's a pattern here. Jay Britt says, I'm feeling lucky. Happy Monday, Frank and Franklies. And then Dean Lind says, Godspeed, Mimi. There you go. And Jeannie, Yankee fan, so much. Thank you. Let me get you in there, Jeannie. That's over on Tumblr. It's crazy to be getting bits from Tumblr. Never thought I'd see the day. All right, over on Rumble, then we're going to open up the... No, we're not going to open up the lines. I have way too much media. Way too much media. And then maybe at the end we'll open up the lines, and we'll always have the flip side. Esther G. Esther G says, my son, with permission from John O. Rumble, Led Zeppelin, Black Dog Live. Okay. He's a drummer. I see a drummer emoji. Well, Esther, definitely send me that to email. Can't watch it now. But send that to me in email. Thank you so much. Carl Spackler Sr. says, thank you, Frank and Franklies. That is wonderful of you, Carl. Very, very much appreciated. And Jay Semo says, just a little something for a great show as usual with you and Rich. Let me put Jay Semo in there. Ladies and gentlemen, listen, quitefrankly.tv/sponsor. Sponsor the show. Send a PayPal, whatever it is. We are about to take a leap in upgrading the studio once again. This time it's the cameras. You know, I was looking at the highlights that we're creating. We have some great stuff coming out of the larger shows that we're sharing, and it's getting us a lot of attention. Finally, that's working. I really want to triple that, but I'm realizing how bad it looks. It just looks so fuzzy when it's captured and then it's edited. It just looks so fuzzy. There's nothing we can do. It's just about what's captured in the room here, especially that first highlight I shared of the Playhouse with Anthony and I and Walt. It's like, oh God. So I found somebody, guy who actually designed Joe Rogan's studios and a few other people's studios, and I told, listen, I like the aesthetics in the room. I've been building it up very, very much to my taste, but I want you to tell me about these camera systems, entire systems separate of the computer. I got to get away from the webcams. This one's a better webcam. This one's the Facecam Pro, but everything else is on these old Logitechs. It's got to be done. And so I'm asking you guys, if you're ever looking for a time to get behind me and help me push, it's now, because I don't want to go to a bank and get a loan. I want to do this with the audience, and it's going to be a big way to establish ourselves for 2026, because then the next push, like I said before, is blowing things open for bringing guests in and having budgets to get somebody on a plane or put myself on a plane, if that ever is going to happen again, or put on an event in another state and broadcast live on location. That's what I'm thinking about. These damn cameras, though, first. I thought I was going to be out of the woods for a little while, but I keep looking at myself. I'm like, no. Anyway, the reason why I bring that up is because you guys are so generous. I just want to thank you and encourage a little bit more, because we're getting somewhere, but it's slow going sometimes. It's all right, though. It makes you appreciate it more. All right, let's see. I'll get to some more super chats in a little bit. Here's Curtis Lewa. Just a couple of seconds of what he was saying the other night.
But what I will say is, thank God I'm not a professional politician. We have the architect and we have the apprentice of no cash bail, which has been a disaster. We have the architect and the apprentice here of Raise the Age. My own son was almost killed because of that in a gang attack. We have the architect and we have the apprentice of Close Rikers Island, which would just release criminals in the street. Thank God I'm not a professional politician, because they have helped create this crime crisis in the city that we face, and I will
Thank you,
resolve.
Mr. Slew.
Yeah, it's one of those things where why is it so hard for a guy like that to get ahead? Especially when you actually nab a little bit of television attention, some television time, something. Anyway, that's just the way the cookie crumbles, because this is and here's John Cusack. This is what I was going to play you before. This just be careful. You're going to be depressed.
The whole country was founded on no kings.
Why this is only coming out of one ear? The whole country's coming out of no king. I'm sorry, he's slurring, and the audio is all messed up for some reason. Why they even upload this onto Twitter?
This is your city. What do you see happening to your city right now?
Everyone knows the score, right? The authoritarians divide and conquer, and they create an other, and then they pick on it, and then pick on the person and harass them, jail them, and that's all used as a distraction, so they can steal as much as they can, maintain power, right? We all know history, so.
Do you know history, John Cusack?
That's what he's doing, and we have masked goons roaming the streets, hiding their faces, abducting people.
Oh, he's talking about ICE. Oh, yeah. Good. Well, good. Keep it up. I don't know. This is what I'm talking about. What are you going to do? This is John Cusack's take on history. What are we to do here? Are we to produce the receipts when we see something like this? Especially, I don't have the camera, the microphone in his face. All I have is the video itself and the comment section with all the rest of the inmates of the asylum. And what do you do there? Produce the receipts of liberals being diametrically opposed to everything the nation was founded on. He wants to talk about the whole country being founded on no kings. And like I said, how many times have they made the argument that the Constitution itself needs to go? And the anthem and the flag. They hate the Electoral College, which is one of the last vestiges of our republic itself. I mean, it having almost been completely replaced by a low IQ welfare mobocracy. That's where we are right now. So what is he talking about? And depending on their current position, he and his party, depending on their current position in any election cycle, they're either trying to stack the courts or eliminate them altogether. So it's like wrestling with a greased, retarded snake. You shouldn't do it. And then when you get to that point, oh, look, MAGA, they can't deny the numbers. They're lying about the numbers. 78 million people voted for Donald Trump. And you convinced a cumulative million, if that, of the same people who helped Kamala Harris secure a monumental loss. You convinced some of the same people from last year's election to leave the House on a beautiful Saturday, less than a year later. And I'm supposed to be impressed? Why? Why is anybody supposed to be impressed? So it's group therapy. And then they'll say, "Oh, look, MAGA's big mad," and then they might just physically attack you afterwards. But this is the reason why the only thing appropriate to do is to share AI videos of shit bombs being dropped on prissy boys named Harry from Rye. That's just what it is. Here's the Trump. Here is the let's see here, the video. Aaron Rupar is very upset. Everybody was everybody's, I can't believe we're an embarrassment. The president does, like, the president's just a person, just like you. Isn't it more embarrassing? I don't understand that. Like, is Donald Trump like so far removed from the quality of the overall culture? Like what we show the rest of the world at the Grammys and the Oscars and the movies we produce and the Super Bowl shows and everything else, how we deal with minor disappointments, political disappointments, civil rights, activities over here in the United States. Like that's why, like, we're respectable. We would be respectable in the eyes of the world if Donald Trump weren't the president. I just love how all of these degenerates clutch their pearls when Donald Trump goes out there and retweets a video of a fighter jet dropping a shit bomb on top of Harry Sisson. Take a look at this. There it is, just driving around. Yeah, there you go, Trump the king. And he sees his target. And bingo bango, that's it. Nice big turd. And there's Harry. Oh no, back to Longford's ice cream. And it was, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. Donald Trump literally just did this. And then after all that pearl clutching, they released this one. Trump got liberals to quickly recycle the poop meme.
Spullen, I'm on the run over the resort. Payload armed.
Copy that, clear to drop.
Roger, releasing the gift.
It's everywhere!
Who in the world did this? Look at me!
It's just so sad. These people are just so sad. Like they weren't even outraged by the initial tweet. What, couple of hours? They weren't even outraged. We're an embarrassment. Quick, make one of our own. And make it less funny. Just so sad. And if they weren't murderous, it'd be a little bit funnier. Because then they're just like, but they're crazy. And then here we have more of this. Look, Trump is mocking us as we protest. You're mocking yourself, bitch. Whoever the hell you are, bitch. You're mocking yourself. You just can't see that because you're disabled. You're disabled people. And of course he's mocking you. This is why he won the presidency 3 times. It keeps on happening. This one's an uplifting one. Ponytail. This one's a little bit uplifting. And I know that this came from the No Kings march in Chicago the first time around. This black woman, she is roasting this white guy who is coming from the No Kings rally. And of course, because, the white guy, he's there with his, he thinks that, I'm being spoken to by a black woman. She must misunderstand that I'm on her side, and he shows up. She starts roasting him because of, what he's doing. And he doesn't want to say a damn thing. He holds up his Crayola art project sign, almost to say like he's flashing a badge. Like, look, I'm progressive. I love this one. This is actually a lot of fun to watch.
Look, this one's got to catch up to the rest of them. Got his sign ready already. Good. Another privileged ass white man.
Well, look, I'm on your side. No kings. My immigrant, something fascist.
Look, another privileged ass white man.
But wait a second. The Constitution guarantees free speech, civil. Look, I actually have the 2 words, civil rights, on my placard. Come on. He thought that this was going to be the lamb's blood he needed. And then he realized he's on his own. And he's caught between a rock and a hard place because too many things are converging at once. Politics, race, gender. He was not going to walk that minefield. So he just took the heckling and he walked away.
Illegal, especially illegal criminals in the country. Oh, look at the ponytail. What, no man bun? Didn't have time to put your hair up, sweetie? Loser.
I've watched that a bunch. Oh, didn't have time to put your hair up, sweetie. Oh, man. That's just something else. What's this? Oh, The Offspring. Oh, man. I love some of The Offspring's albums. I really do. But I mean, what do you guys, here they are, The Offspring. They took a No King stand. Wait. No, it's just so bad. They sound so bad now. I guess it's more appropriate that way for them to sound this bad. Noodles can't even play guitar anymore. It's so appropriate for them to sound like that and to be wearing No King shirts and all that stuff. Like, jeez Louise. And then we had Ed Markey. Ed Markey, he's a U.S. Senator fighting for the families and future of Massachusetts. He's from Massachusetts. I was in Massachusetts over the weekend. I didn't see Ed Markey walking around. But he had a message, a very clear message he put out on his Twitter. So let's take a listen to this one.
I'm here in Newton at that No Kings rally.
Oh.
Just absolutely unbelievable.
You know, they are showing up. They're standing up against the
Yeah, they're standing up. It probably took those people a long time to stand up, too, given the fact that they're all over the age of 90.
President of the United States who thinks he's a king, he thinks he's a dictator, and Newton is saying no. Massachusetts is saying no to dictators.
That's right. Thank you, Sonny. Thank you, Sonny. Ed Markey. Ed Markey looks like Grandpa Joe from Willy Wonka. But the protesters are so much older than him that he looks youthful. Oh, man. It's going to go swindle some kid out of chocolate now. Thank you. Thank you so much. Wait, what was the last thing he was going to say? He was thanking all the change makers.
No to dictators. Thank you, Newton, for what you are doing here today and what Massachusetts is doing on No King's Day.
Thank you. Now I got to go. I got to eat so I can take my back pill. All right, so that's Ed Markey. And I don't know where the hell this is. What is this, Chicago? Oh, Chicago. Yeah. Yeah, it's Chicago. This happened as well. I wish that Russia began their invasion right then and there. I wish that you heard the scream in the background, people screaming. Everybody's looking around, what's going on? And the camera looks up at the sky, and you just see like thousands of paratroopers coming down. That would be wonderful. And no, you know what? This guy in particular, this guy right here, I want to see him stay behind to fight the Russians. There, yeah, this guy over here. Bouncing the basketball with two hands. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Throw it. Throw it, baby. They made their own songs. They probably roasted marshmallows that night. Good time was had by all. Anyway, there's a little bit more. Just a reminder, it's not all goofy. There's just a lot of sick, twisted people out there, and some of them are more willing to do a little bit more than others. Listen.
So this is your birthday, so you came out on your birthday, you thought it was important. Tell me why.
Absolutely, because I have two little boys who deserve a bright future of freedom and democracy, and this is a nightmare that I'm living in, and I'm here to make a difference.
Yeah, notice everybody, she's living in a nightmare that she is living in. Very telling, and the truth usually comes out. There she is on a beautiful day, beautiful fall day in the middle of a really nice looking park. It's a nightmare she's living. She could have been doing anything. All these people could have been doing anything else, but they think that they're saving democracy. She thinks that she's saving democracy for her boy. Like if democracy was at risk, she thinks she is the one that is going to save it for her boys. Like that's how easy democracy is to preserve by showing up in a park on a beautiful day with all the safety guarantees in the world, and to just cry and to be completely emotionally unstable. That's all it takes to preserve democracy. That's all it takes. Nobody's ever had to give it more than that.
And to be loud and proud, and there's no other way I'd want to celebrate my birthday than with my parents and my best friend fighting for our country.
Well, you're not doing that. Why don't you go and spend your birthday with your two children? No, they're home in the bunker while mommy's on the front lines. They're home in the bunker for mommy's birthday. So, yeah, she's so in a...
So, okay.
No, this is a big one.
So for a birthday present, what do you hope happens? You know, you wake up tomorrow morning.
I hope that I see the obituary that we're all waiting for tomorrow. That's what I hope for.
Yeah. you wishing that President Trump is dead?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, it got a little dark there, didn't it? This fucking shamu bitch. Got a little dark there, didn't it, huh? So in a frenzied state of political desperation, she went to a protest hoping that the combined presence of all the crazies there would stop Donald Trump's heart from beating. No ideas, totally emotionally unstable, and fixated on death. You know? So, I think in a way, it almost becomes a little bit more logically consistent with saving a democracy, because if there was an existential threat to a free society, then you know that voting for it is really not going to probably be a very viable option. If it really was, there was a threat and you had to sack up. First of all, this woman would be back in the bunker, and she'd probably send her kid. First of all, what a nightmare. What a nightmare. Mother of two, fixated on death, fixated on willing the death of an assigned political nemesis. That's crazy work right there. And her kids better watch out. Her children better hire a food tester the day that they ever show signs of independent thought, if that day ever comes. Because this is the type who would fill up the bathtub and start over again. I don't know, man. That's just nuts. You see so much of this. Here's another one. This guy, his name is Frank as well. He's out in Philadelphia, and he had a great time just putting the microphone in a couple of people's face and got exactly what you think that you would get from them, especially the women.
What has President Trump done to make him a monarch?
He started to take control and do illegal things.
And also, the irony is not lost onto me that this woman's out there invoking the word monarch instead of king and using the monarch butterfly as she sits there and spews her brainwashed bullshit. So the MK Ultra Project Monarch stuff is not lost onto me. Okay, just wanted to throw that out there. This is actually you could have made a case that this is like AI, because it's too packed with symbolism and irony.
What has President Trump done to make him a monarch?
He started to take control and do illegal things and that are not within his power.
Oh, yeah?
So that's pretty much what makes a person a monarch. They take complete control even though they shouldn't have it.
What illegal things has he done?
Come here.
I need backup. Somebody's asking for details. It's like kryptonite for Democrats. Details for liberals like kryptonite. This is when they know, okay, I'm screwed. Should have walked right past. And that's what they usually do. No, I don't deal with Nazis. No. Or some of them do this other thing where you know how you'll like walk away and you'll pretend to be on the phone just because you need a moment to collect yourself, or you want to seem like you're busy so that someone doesn't come up and talk to you. Well, some of them adopt this stoic sentinel performance when they go out protesting. That's why a lot of them will bring like tape and put it on their mouth or a bandana to make it into like a gag or something, like it's part of their act. Where they're there, you have to assume that they know all the reasons why they're there. You have to assume that they've got it all together. They showed up. They've got gumption. They're ready to change the tide of history here. But they also they can't speak. They can't speak because it's part of how they're protesting. They are laser focused. They are locked in. And no, I'm not speaking to you. I'm not speaking to anybody. I am manifesting a change in the world right now. But this woman's not manifesting shit.
What illegal things? Everything that he has done except for get elected.
Really? Oh, so it was a fair election? What happened to the 7 million odd votes that disappeared? How many votes did Joe Biden get in 2020? Give me that 81 million votes. 81 million votes in 2020. And, 81 million. Let's see. All right. And Kamala Harris, 75 million. 81 million minus 75 million. And that's after like a month and a half of continuing to count just to put a little bit of padding in there. Where the fuck did that all go? And Donald Trump like maintained. He grew like proportionally, something like a realistic growth there. Where the fuck did that all go? It's crazy how that's her. Maybe she walked away. She said, "Why didn't even say that? He wasn't elected legally. It was all illegal, and now he's doing illegal things." I just wonder about this. It's crazy that it all just goes away, and yeah.
Every single thing since he's gotten into office.
So deporting illegal immigrants, is that illegal?
Deporting illegal immigrants, if they're here peacefully, yes.
It's illegal to kick somebody out of your basement. If you come home from a vacation and you find that they have set up a nice, cozy little nest next to your furnace, okay? If you come home and you find a nice little Inuit family, okay? I'm not going to go use Mexicans as an example and get all cliche and shit. What about a nice little Inuit family? Some Eskimo. They are curled up next to your water heater in the basement. You were away for a weekend. You were at some protest or something like that. You come home and listen, they're peaceful. They're snuggled up by each other like a little family of cats down in the basement. What are you going to do? Kick them out? That's not legal. They're being peaceful. They just wanted a cozy place to rest for a few months.
If they're illegally here, though, if they came illegally?
If they came here illegally, I believe we're a country that stands for Lady Liberty. It said, "Give me your tired, your."
Oh, okay. There we go. Emma Lazarus. The that they should actually put the Emma Lazarus poem as another amendment to the Constitution. I'm surprised that nobody has suggested that yet. Chuck Schumer, he's brought up Emma Lazarus in the Statue of Liberty how many times? It says, "Give us your tired and your poor." It doesn't say anything about having laws to process people. They give your huddled masses. Yeah, that's what we're about. Can you imagine basing your country's function on the words that somebody scribbled on a statue in the middle of a harbor in New York? But this is the only place that you want to appeal to emotion. These are the only places they have to run to. And she's actually trying to hang on for as long as she can. Most people just say, "Oh, I see what's going on here. Bye."
Give me everybody you can possibly bring into the United States.
Give me everybody you can possibly bring to the United States. Now! Bring them all here. We need them all. We need them all. She's probably a pre-K teacher, by the way.
And it doesn't say ship them back out.
Oh,
it says welcome.
Awesome. Any other issues, any issues in particular that you really disagree with Trump on?
No, because you're just baiting me. Have a nice day.
Wow. Wow. You can only laugh for so long. And then you kind of get that, then the sigh happens, and then you just sit there and go, "Ah, yep, this is the real struggle." And then you have Robert De Niro. Oh, this Muppet. Oh, this Muppet. Take a listen to this. He goes after Stephen Miller. Calls him a Jewish Nazi. Oh, he also mispronounced Goebbels' name. I think he says Gibbles or something like that. Is that how you say it? Maybe I'm wrong.
He will not. We see it all the time. He will not want to leave. He set it up with his. I guess he's the Goebbels of the cabinet. Stephen Miller. He's a Nazi. Yes, he is, and he's Jewish, and he should be ashamed of himself.
You know, you're a Nazi. I know you're Jewish. And that's why I have to tell you, I don't know if you knew this, being a Jewish man, But you are also a Nazi, and you should be ashamed of yourself for that. That's why I'm here. I just wanted to let you know that you're a Jewish Nazi, and that those two things should not go together. So go home and think about your life, Stephen. You have to really think about what you want out of it. Look at the face. Like, yep. He's got to think about things. Got a lot of reflecting to do when you find yourself a Jewish Nazi. Oh gosh. Well, I mean, there's just too little to say now. All right, 914-200-0269. That's it. Give me a call. We have a couple of minutes left. Just whatever you observed, things that you were thinking, anything that popped up for you over the course of the past hour or so. The lines are open, and I want to hear from you. So let's do it. 914-200-0269. Joe Elaine said, prayers to your mom, Frank. Thank you, Joe. Safety net, thank you. Says, simply a love bomb from Lynn. Amethyst Cat says, happy Monday, Frank and Rich. Vesper says, I hate this show, but I like Silver. You're in there, Vesper. I put you in there a little bit while ago while Rich was talking a little bit. Valhalla says, I also hate this show. That's why I watched it for more years than most and moderate it. That's right. And I would love me some Silver. You're in there too, Valhalla. Joe Elaine says, my heart is breaking. What is going on in New York, my original hometown? Well, it's happening everywhere to one degree or another. You're in a place where it's happening in a lot more manageable ways, and you have, set up for a little bit more of a long-term success. But hell, if we're ever going to enter into some sort of a golden age or something like that, then the tide is going to have to turn inside the cities as well. I know that our founding fathers loathed cities. Well, at least some of them did. The Jeffersonian types did, because they understood what cities meant to small people, farmers, the agrarian type of society, what the bankers meant versus the producers in the factories and the small towns, the fields, all that stuff. But on the other hand, when you just think about how they were also wonderful examples of our ingenuity, architecture. I mean, that's the one thing that I never gets old for me. Never gets old for me. Driving through a city, walking through a city, just kind of just like, wow. I just think about the effort of every bridge, every tunnel. Yeah, it can get crummy, it can get shitty, literally. But at the same time, it could also be just, think about how dazzling. And all that is kind of reflective of what we're capable of. So it's sad. It is sad. It doesn't have to just be, it's a city, therefore it's a shit heap. It doesn't have to be that way. It's turning out to be that way. Anyway, 817, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, Frank, this is Cloud9.
Hey, Cloud9, what's your thought?
Yeah, my thoughts are kind of earlier what Rich was talking about. In terms of like overall electoral maps, New Jersey, from what I gather, was pretty purple, but it just slightly edged out this last go around for blue. But I'm just curious, for your home state of New York, I know that the city primarily is kind of what dictates the entire voting of the state. So it's kind of unfair for those who live, upstate, because I don't really understand, from what I gather at least. I've watched enough videos of people who have kind of gone into detail. It's seemingly like other places around Buffalo, Ithaca, Rochester, they seem to be a little bit more conservative. Even like Staten Island seems to be a little bit more conservative leaning, I would assume, because of all the Italian Catholics that live over there. But yeah, and just in terms of like how what we're seeing with cities being very liberalized, whereas the state itself isn't necessarily liberal. It's more, center right. What's your thoughts in terms of New York, and do you see potentially an accelerationist movement after Mondani gets elected?
Well, that's that's what I was hoping. Because when you see something that can't be stopped, you have to, maybe you can just think about what is a long-term silver lining that would result of that. That's why I asked Rich, is there any indication on your end with your work that shows that the things as they progress in unthinkable ways that are very hard for even larger Democrat Party types to really even message properly to the rest of the country of where the party is going, especially in a major city like New York? You say, all right, well, if this train can't be stopped, then is there any kind of a way that accelerates us to a point where a lot more people get cold water in the face and they say, oh, wow, either I made a mistake or I'll never skip an election again, or I'm going to volunteer. And because who the hell knows how much is really, maybe it is all legitimate. I wouldn't be surprised if Mamdani has a lead in New York City. I wouldn't be surprised if New York City genuinely wants a guy like him and what he stands for, even if it's just from a virtue signaling standpoint. I wouldn't be surprised. On the other hand, I wouldn't be surprised if a little bit more hands-on action from other party participants in the area leads to a little bit more of a sober landscape forming, where, after 2020, when we went through all that, I mean, volunteerism with election days for both the midterms and for 2024 went through the roof. And that's a huge part between volunteers, poll watchers, everything like that. And of course, armies of lawyers who were ready to litigate if anything weird was happening on site. You just wonder all the different things that can happen when an election goes unthinkably bad, like we all had to live through from 2020 to 2024. Not that I believe that was a legitimate result, but more happened along the way. There was a legitimate bump in voting for Donald Trump because everybody was made to live through a lot more of a hell from 2020 to 2024. There was so many more people who were like, I smelled a rat a couple of years ago and I want to volunteer. We had a lot of them call this show. A lot of people started declaring their own candidacy and all this other stuff. And thanks for the call, by the way. We're coming up on the end. So it's not only just a way that you can get people to want to volunteer and actually cast a vote, maybe for the first time in forever, but maybe there is a regret factor. Maybe there are those things there. Just don't know. There's so many people in that city, and it might just take a while. Like Rich said, it could just be one of those generational things. It's not like the left doesn't know that. Remember when Oprah said that on television? She was talking about racism, which is ridiculous because the only reason why racism is still alive is because of people like her keeping it alive. But she took, of course, a inverted no responsibility stance on everything and was essentially talking about older boomer type people who still have old world sensibilities about race and the way that America should be and all that other stuff. And they just generally have to die off. You have to die off, and then we'll be a lot better. We'll just be flushed out. Now, of course, that die off isn't working the way that they wanted to, because the new generations are coming up, and it just, when everything you stand for is antithetical to nature and to humankind, then you're going to lose the plot for people. Kids, young adults, they don't even need to be in civics class. They don't need to be taking philosophy 101 and anything else like that. It just gets to the point where you feel suppressed. You feel like things are just stuffy. You can't say anything. There's all this weird confusion with things around you. We always talk about the sexual stuff and the gender stuff. I mean, that in itself is so huge. I was talking about that with my niece at one point a few years ago. Because there was like a little bit of a sensitive situation that popped up about a person that went to her school that had, thought that they were one thing or another, and she didn't understand why why it was such a big deal if, if that's just what made them feel better or whatever. And then, I got an opportunity to talk with her somewhere down the line and let her know, well, here, I'm going to give you something to think about, especially when it comes to things like our basic existence and our basic identity as human beings. When that stuff gets flipped on its head and you can't even speak precisely about that, things that you don't really need a lot of training for, you just look in the mirror and there's the truth of the matter. And then everything else that you want or feel you need is secondary, that needs to be dealt with somewhere else. But if you can get people screwed up on that, like really messed up on that, then you can do anything to people. It's the fundamental stuff. And fundamentals are very easy for people to understand because it's part of who you are. The ability to speak, the ability to just refer to a man or a woman as a man or a woman, like those things start weighing on people in ways that they might not even be able to articulate. Not in a debate setting, but they will start rebelling. They will start rebelling because nature wants to correct itself. Just like a body that's being altered through surgery and drugs is constantly fighting to correct itself. It's constantly fighting to heal wounds that are being sold as new body parts. That's just the way it is. So I don't know. It's how much time goes by and what accelerates people toward those different varied states of awakening. Whatever you do, don't let your happiness be dependent on that, crossing that finish line. Because it might happen maybe 1 or 2 generations after we're all gone. But there's a lot of good times to have right now. And definitely got to do a lot of praying. Especially for all these lost souls that were caught on tape this week. They have no clue. They have no clue what bad shape they're in. That last girl with the monarch butterfly, she has no clue what terrible shape she's in. She's in bad shape. The other one on her birthday that wanted to see an obituary for Donald Trump published the next day, she has no clue what terrible shape her soul is in. Nothing about her is her own person. Everything has been assigned to them. They're barely even making choices. It's crazy. Okay, Tommy Jekyll says, here's something to do with somewhat, somehow, sometime, like ice cream. Oh, thank you, Tommy. Thank you so much. Hey, we got a nice amount of people who are getting ready to win this this silver now. And we're going to do it real quick because I'm going to go on the other side for extra innings. Tom Wilbur says, always a great show. A little something for your new camera. Yeah, well, Tom, I'm going to let you know about this. It's not one. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. All of them are going to have to be uniform. They're going to have to be going into its own separate system that it's going to produce one line out into this computer over here. So we're not putting all these HDMI cables into this computer. Because when I was trying to, back in January, when I put the 4 Elgatos in here, it was, you should have seen that the screens were like twinkling, like fireworks were going on. Like I was overloading something, and this is a powerful computer over here. So I don't know what the scope of it is going to be. The space is being assessed. I'm going to get some kind of a ballpark figure soon, and then I'll figure out what my approach is going to be. Because maybe we have to do a little fundraising. I don't know what it is, but I definitely don't want, the last thing I want to do, but it's not off the table, is going to the bank for a loan. Don't want to do that, but we will, because the show has got to go to new levels, and it's going to. And I'm happy about it. I'm really excited. We've had a really interesting year so far, and it's only going to get more interesting. John Volt says, Frank, I am AI, autistic inbred. Happy Monday. Wow. Thank you for that, John. John Volts is in there. Okay, let's do this this running. Kobe Shumway, thank you. And I'm putting him in there. Kobe Shumway with Tom Wilbur. It's good to have you guys all aboard. And Dana Demystified. Round, get around, I get around. Fingers crossed. A round of silver. coming your way. And Anonymous, thank you so much. I got you both in there just a little while ago. Okay, Corey J, Tomcat NJ, and Smitten Kitten. It's good to have. Oh, they're all claiming subscriptions over there. And Joseph777 says, a Quite Frankly t-shirt appeared years ago. I believe a gift from becoming a monthly sub. But that shirt has become my lucky go-to. Everyone I know has seen it and knows Quite Frankly, but it's threadbare. I want another exactly like it. It looks like an Escher painting. An Escher painting? I don't know. You got to send it to me, Joseph. What are you talking about? I want to see it. Corey J says, put me in for that silver, Frank. You got it. So Joseph and Corey J. Awake Not Woke, thank you. Delona says, my friend was the architect for the East Wing during the first Trump administration. They made sure he was away and ripped out all the asbestos. Asbestos. I heard that the East Wing, what they're tearing down right now, was built in 1902, and but if they just got to. Everybody has a scream. Ghost Pepper. It's good to have you in there. Thank you so much. You're in. Aston says, I got a werewolf problem. I need that silver. Like, you know what? That is a good problem to solve with silver. So Aston, we'll see if she gets a little something. And I think that is it. I've got everybody in here. Nathan says, oh, Rich is the best. I can't wait to hear what he had to say since I'm just jumping into tonight's show right now. And Stephen and Lori says, yesterday's supporter stream was so much fun with the scooter girl. Yeah. The Sunday streams are always great, but it's equally fun. It's even more fun, I should say, when Aurora is just scooting around on her scooter. Though it made it hard for me to concentrate on one thing or another. And I'm glad that you guys enjoy that. I really love hanging out with the monthly sponsors on Sundays and other days. Become a monthly sponsor. That'd be great. Okay, Nathan and Stephen and Lori, and that is it. All right, here we go. Oh, it's Stowstube. Good Monday, Frank. Enjoy the week, my good man. And Stowstube's in there, too. Love you guys out there in your lovely state of Massachusetts. I thought it was quite lovely over the weekend. All right, here we go. You ready? And the person who wins a round of silver out of 30 names is Dean Lind. Dienlind. That's a name that I just saw starting to pop up in YouTube. They won tonight. Dienlind. Dean, that's how you say it. Please get in touch with me, Frank at quitefrankly.tv. I just need to know what address to pass along to Tony Arterburn. And remember, everybody, if you go to quitefrankly.gold and you get either just a piece of silver or something, or you get into a wolf pack plan or something like that, use promo code Frankly. And Tony is going to send you free silver on top of whatever you order. So that's Frankly. And I have another promo code for you. After hours, the Dick Lasers. You'll see. You'll see. Join us on pill.net. I'm going to put the link in the chat room right after the end credits goes. We start over there and we just talk until the lights go out for another 28 minutes. So come on over. It's a lot of fun. Thank you for everything tonight. Thank you, Rich Baris, and I will see you guys tomorrow night. Jay Gulanello is in the room tomorrow. That should be fun, and more coming your way all throughout the week. Good night.
I'll catch you on the flip side.
Yes. Thank you, everybody, so much, and thank you. Thank you to our super chatters, starting with Stowstube, Kobe Shumway, Tom Wilbur, John Volts, Dana Demystified, Anonymous, Jeannie Yankee Fan, Revolution, an X Irrational X, ST, Road Trip, Jay Britz, Dean Lind, and so many of you elsewhere. Thank you so much to Jace Moen, to Tommy Jekyll, and to our two other Rumble ranters, Carl Speckler Sr. and Esther G13. You guys have been fantastic. I'll check you out on Pilled. We'll get to more of your gold pills and then some.